In our recent BA Mindset Circle, we worked on a case study that involved regulatory reporting requirements. Would you like to hear what key reporting requirements get missed most? It's an essential part of analysis, and yet both business analysts and stakeholders underestimate its importance and complexity. Now, I'm not talking about the design of the report, which columns will be displayed, and what colors should be used, nor am I thinking about grouping and aggregations, even though they play a role. I'm thinking about the most fundamental requirement. Without it, everything else you do is secondary. About selection criteria. In a few words, it's the rules that tell you which records are in and which records are out. So what records should be included in the report? What transactions are we counting? What cases are in scope? Determining these eligible transactions is the first thing you should worry about when working on reports and analytics. Most reports require specific metrics and attributes, aggregate or detailed, or most likely both, but the aggregations need to be done on the correct population, which we also call report base. How to determine this report base or select the right records becomes our selection criteria requirements. And these criteria will depend on parameters that are defined prior to generating the report on summarizing data. Typical parameters would be dimensions like time, location, and various attributes and categories. For example, in a sales report, you will use parameters like time period of sales, region or territory, product categories, customer groupings, payment types, and so on. So parameters are important, but even more interesting are the rules for applying these parameters to selection criteria. For example, inclusion in the report may involve eligibility rules that depend on several parameters in a combination. For example, imagine working on an order summary report. In your business, it takes about 3 weeks on average to fulfill an order. So if you need to create a monthly order summary, what orders should be included? Are you going to include orders placed within that given month, those already shipped, regardless of their delivery date, or the orders delivered in a given month? Of course, we need to define the rules for this metric. The metric will be number of orders, and the rule defines which orders to count. And it doesn't end there. Next, I'm going to ask, what about orders that were placed and then canceled? What about orders that were shipped and subsequently returned? And are you going to count orders that got lost or damaged en route or were refused by the customer? See where this is going? We're going into the exception territory. There may be even more scenarios to analyze. What about orders placed by individual customers and large orders from our corporate customers that have a much higher value? Should they be totaled up in the same report? 2 sections of the same report? Or is it better to have 2 separate reports? Then, is it possible to enter a backdated order into the system? What if a new order was added with a backdate after your sales report, your monthly summary was generated? What are the rules around it? All of these conditions need to be reviewed, analyzed, and covered as selection criteria. When you end up with a lot of rules, you will also need to structure them so that you avoid ambiguities and gaps. If I start to relay those rules to you in sentence after sentence after sentence, you're using various conditions, you're going to get lost. And so possibly the developer that will be creating this report. In this case, one of the things I would recommend is a decision table. A decision table can help capture all possible permutations and scenarios based on a set of factors. And you can use those decision tables to determine inclusion and exclusion in the report. You can also use decision table to find the scenarios for which you're not sure what the answer is. Include, exclude, it depends, and this is how you may discover even more factors that impact your selection criteria. If you want to learn more about decision tables, we worked on both the theory and the case study in our BA Mentorship Circle. When you join as a member, you can get access to the rich library of our previous case recordings, including those on decision tables. I will provide a link for you in the comments. Now let me know what you thought and what challenges you may have encountered when defining selection criteria for various reports and analytics. This is YJ channel, where I answer frequent questions about business analysis. If you have a question, put it in the comments section, and see you next time.